Our next reader is a published fiction writer, and by day he teaches special education for the San Francisco Unified School District. But originally, he was the high-flying heart and soul of incredibly strange wrestling, known then as El Super Polga! Put your hands together for Norman Zelaya!
That is the greatest line delivered by any wrestling announcer in the history of any kind of wrestling. Coined by our own Count Dante himself. My God, Count Dante, it's been 10 years and the robe still fits. You know, when I was a little boy, I never dreamed that the days I spent wrestling at the boys club, Columbia Park, day after day in the summertime, you know, 20 or 30 or so of us would pour out of the club about 5 p.m. wrestling down Guerrero, where we would hold our own battle royale at the intersection of 18th and Guerrero, fake pounding each other's heads in the hoods of cars, stuck at the intersection, just trying to get on their way home. Lo and behold, did I know that would someday lead to me coming moments away from wrestling against Vampiro in Toronto, Canada, at the Sky Dome, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! This is a boy's dream come true. Just one time, I just want to get in that ring, get in that top rope, and go flying high! I haven't wrestled in about 10 years, and I have, you know, I've been staying in shape, because I'm ready to go! I'll fuck any of you in the ass and make you humble! I'm still holding on to one wrestling dream, and that is to drive down to Tijuana and get my Mexican wrestling license. From what I hear, all you have to do is pretend to be Mexican. True story, just pretend, which apparently many Americans do badly, and they still get their wrestling credentials in Mexico. So I'm ready. So tonight, for your entertainment, I'll be reading from Mankind, the legendary Mick Foley, his memoir. Woo! Yes, give it up for Mankind. Cactus Jack and True Love. I had a weekend of matches for ECW in November and decided to bring Dewey along with me. That's his 2.5-year-old son. He was 2.5 years old, and I figured it would be a great bonding time for father and son. He enjoyed the trip and even rolled around the ring a little when we got to the small arena in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, that the World Wrestling Federation had used to tape television in before I went big time. I bailed out of the ring to do a telephone interview, during which I told the interviewer that the two most important philosophies in life were simple ones learned in childhood. who smelt it, dealt it. And bang, bang, you're dead. Actually, I find the whole he who smelt it theory to be full of holes. As is its counterpart, he who denied it supplied it. In reality, especially in wrestling dressing rooms, the dealer of a gaseous emission is more likely to exit the room and leave others to enjoy it, or else laugh with pride, thereby shooting the denial theory to pieces. I was booked in Hamburg with Sabu. The two of us had become a hot ticket around the country, and I certainly was earning my money. We had engaged in more than a few classic battles, including one at the Silver Nugget in Las Vegas that included a foray into casino area. I pal drove Sabu onto the blackjack table, sending gamblers scurrying and chips flying. Looking back at it, however, it may not have been the wisest decision in the world. If we had been at a bigger casino with more money at stake, there was a possibility we could have been physically punished for our action. I pumped myself up mentally for a long time in Hamburg. Dewey was fast asleep in the dressing room on a mattress made out of ring robes and turnbuckle pads. Sabu's music was playing when I heard a faint sound. My son had awakened, and he didn't seem pacified by the shaved heads and wild outfits all around him. He started to cry, softly at first, but with progressively more volume until it escalated into a full-blown tantrum. "This can't be happening," I said out loud, as I could feel my entire hour of mental preparation sailing away. I tried to comfort the little guy, but he was beside himself, and I could hear "Born to be Wild" booming from the loudspeakers. I had to go. I kissed my son goodbye, placed him in the arms of the towering wrestler named 9/11, and walked sadly out the door. Yeah, wrestlers have hearts. Yeah. Souls. They hurt. I was not prepared for Sabu, but I knew that many fans would have driven hundreds of miles for a Sabu Cactus Jack showdown. I was always determined not to let them down, and I tried my best to make this match a great one, even with the extenuating circumstances involved. I didn't mention these circumstances to Sabu. For some reason, I didn't think the homicidal, suicidal maniac, as he was known, would be all that sensitive to my paternal problems. Instead, we went at it full tilt. I knocked the Indian madman to the corners and picked up a wooden ringside chair to crown him with. Sabu moved, and the force of my swing ricocheted off the middle rope and propelled the chair backward into my own waiting head. I stumbled in my old faithful 360-degree angle, or the Watusi, as some has called it, while Sabu stepped to the second rope on the outside ring. He was ready to attempt a moonsault, and under perfect conditions, would make chest-to-chest contact. Not too difficult, except for the fact that his body would be upside down and in midair when the desired contact would be made. In this case, however, our chests never connected. Nothing did. I reached my hands up to try in vain to intercept him, as this 210-pound missile flew high overhead. Now, in 15 years of wrestling, I've heard plenty of sickening sounds, many of them from my own body. But this was among the worst. Sabu's body impaled itself on the steel guardrail, and I grimaced as I heard the 1-2 combination of ribs breaking on steel and guttural animal-like screams welling up from deep inside Sabu's lungs. The crowd sensed in an instant that something was wrong, and actually cleared out of the way to allow him room to breathe. I stalled for time, but returned shortly to see if he could go on. "Give me time! Give me time!" he yelled, and I commenced to throwing chairs into the ring and using whatever else was available to allow him some recuperation time. When I came back, he was still gasping for air, but was struggling bravely to get to his feet. We then continued and actually had a hell of a match. We fought down the aisle to the dressing room, and before heading back to the ring, I reached into a garbage can and pulled out an empty Coors Light bottle. "Use this," I said. "To do what?" Kenny replied. "To hit me with," I insisted. I crawled into the ring, again using the dependable Watusi, as I waited for the crashing sound of glass and the oohs and ahs from the Hamburg crowd that would lead to the end of the match. Well, I got the oohs and ahs, but not the crashing sound I was anticipating. Instead, there was a loud thunk as the glass bottle literally bounced off my head and spun clumsily on the canvas. In my beer bottle battered haze, I looked at the spinning Coors container and thought back fondly to spin the bottle on our 6th grade camping trip. And how excited I was when the bottle pointed to Sue Cirisano. The memory of Sue running for the door instead of honoring the strict and time-honored tradition of giving me a good one on the smacker finally brought me back to my senses. And I said the only words I could think of. "Hit me again!" Again the bottle came down, and again it thunked off my skull. Again I said, another thunk. By this time, even the bloodthirsty ECW fans were starting to feel a little bad about this whole scenario. But damn it, we had to finish the match, and I wasn't about to do a job for the bottle. One more swing and one more thunk, then another swing, and finally, the satisfaction of shattering glass showering around me. I went to the dressing room where my recovered son was waiting with a 2.5-year-old hug that only a father can truly appreciate. "Did you win, Daddy?" he asked innocently. "No, buddy, but it was a good match anyway. Would you like to see Grandma and Grandpa now?" So, with 5 lumps on my head and glass in my hair, we hopped into my rented Lumina and off to grandmother's house we went. The great Mick Foley!